If I have made a bad decision coming from the season to the off season, it's that I haven't taken any time off. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. I am in the third week of my off season, and I actually dialed back a bit a few weeks back because I was heading into one last race and then that was actually canceled, so I'm kind of counting that as a little bit of time off. And I will have other periods of small rest. Now, the type of riding I'm doing at the moment, at least for the next month and a quarter, is purely endurance except for a couple situations that you're seeing now, Zwift races. Also, rather than ride 5 to 6 times a week, I'm riding 4 times a week. And 2 of those times, I'm doing a Zwift race at the end of those rides. And such is the case today. I got off of work, I did a 1 hour US MES Category C ride, straight endurance type of ride, and then I jumped into this race. When I originally signed up, I signed up in the Bs, but then I downgraded myself to the Cs. Zwift has me as a B. The reason I downgraded myself for this ride is that even though I'm in the adaptation phase in my lifting, I added more weight to my squats and my deadlifts, and that was yesterday, and my legs were really feeling it today. On top of all that, for those of you not familiar with my channel, I am 67 and I am subject to atrial fibrillation. I figured if I went for the Bs today, I'd get spit out the back in short order, especially because of the particular format of this race. So this isn't a regular race where they have all the categories starting together. We are starting a minute apart, and this lower category, Category D, starts first, then the Cs, Bs, then the As. Each group is supposed to catch the groups ahead of it before the finish. Then the individuals, of course, can try and win the race. The first order of business for me was to not get dropped at the start. I didn't know how my legs were going to do at that big initial power surge, but I had warmed up my legs enough, or they had loosened them up enough, in the previous 1 hour endurance ride, where I was able to survive it with the Cs. I don't think I could have survived it with the Bs today. Too much muscle damage from yesterday's workout. We're a couple minutes in right now, and I was able to work myself toward the front and actually be able to stay there. So, a good choice for me going with the Cs. I think we had 27 starters in which there were 22 finishers in our category. Now, we were the largest category. The Bs and the Ds had around mid-teens in terms of finishers, and the As had about 6 finishers. Once things settled down, I started to become a little more comfortable. I did a pretty good job staying in the middle of the pack, and, well, that was a pretty good job. There were cases such as this that's coming up where there's a surge. I guess people are familiar with the course. I'm not that familiar with this course. And there's a climb coming up, or more of a long, drawn-out climb. And so they picked up the pace. I'm starting to lose wheels, and now I'm having to apply extra pressure, or I will have to apply extra pressure, to be able to get up to them. I had to do a number of these surges throughout this race, more than I wanted to. And what I found was that my sweet spot in terms of cadence and gear selection had changed. It changed because of the lifting I was doing yesterday, and to be able to go to a bigger gear and pound it out, it was going to hurt a lot. So what I was doing was sticking with a smaller gear, increasing my cadence to get the job done. Of course, I couldn't go to too small a gear, nor do that for an extended period of time, because then I would redline. And then I'd be in this situation where I'd have to ride the fine line between aerobic and anaerobic death, where I'd switch to a bigger gear, do that till my legs got bogged down, then switch back again. And because of the situation, because of the lifting I was doing, I couldn't do that too much, because then by the time I got to the end of the race, I may not be with anybody else. I may be off the back. This race was about 9 miles long, and we're about a third of the way through, a little over that. And it was here that I noticed that we have some pretty strong riders in our pack. There's a couple that got off, there's a person that's chasing after them, and I'm not in any condition to go chase after these guys, not at all. So I'm just riding wheels, trying to stay toward the front, because this can very easily get lined out, and there could be gaps, and then I'd have to do the same thing again, or at least try to do the same thing where I'm surging to get up to somebody's wheel. Now, here's one of the few cases where I am not just sitting on people's wheel. I'm enticing the group to chase. I'm keeping up my power, and hopefully others will come over me so then I can get on their wheels and we can continue the chase. And fortunately, that seems to be what's happening. Going back to the leg work I'm doing in the gym, I'm focusing right now on 3 exercises: squats, deadlifts, and Bulgarian squats. I'll be doing a video on this soon. I want to add, I don't know what you call them, where you take long strides where you're holding dumbbells and you touch your knee to the ground just about, and you do maybe like 20 yards of that or something. The reason I haven't started those is because by the time I get to those at the very end, my legs are pretty cooked. So I figure in a little while it'll be a little stronger, then I can start adding them. And going back to the race on the screen, you can see that the 3 that had broken away have been caught. I have jumped to about 2K to go. This is about a 9.3 mile race. My first race of the new season is probably going to be around the middle of February. There may be some random race that I'll be able to go to at the beginning of February, the end of January, but pretty much the middle of February. Back to the action on the screen. We had caught all the D's and they have been dropped, and now we have been caught by the B's. So now I'm trying to get my speed up and then get on whatever B is going to go toward the front. I'm going to imagine there's going to be a split here, or it's certainly going to stress the pack, and again, I don't want any gaps forming. We have about a mile to go, a little over a mile to go, and now the question is, are my legs going to be able to keep up with these guys and with the power that they're displaying? And right now the answer seems to be no. Fortunately, those that had jumped out are starting to come back, and I'm still in the draft, so this is working out for me. Of course, when I say working out, that's only momentary. We'll see what happens with the next attack. If you were looking at my wattage in the upper left-hand corner while this was going on, you'll notice that I never reached 400 watts. Not a good sign. What I need to do is stay toward the front and stay connected with that front pack. I am not a sprinter, and especially with these guys, I'm not going to be a sprinter. My typical MO is to attack with anywhere between 0.3 and 0.6 miles to go. Now, I'm going toward the back, and I said I need to stay connected with them, and I'm not doing that good a job. So I may have been trying to drift to the back just to get a little bit of a draft for when I do my attack. Now, my attack is all relative because, again, my legs are just screaming now, especially because of the workout I was doing yesterday with the squats. We have about half a mile to go. Now, there's a guy that's doing what I'd want to be doing right now. He's taken off and he's trying to get some distance. I'm still in good position. I'm toward the front, and I'm not doing 300 watts, so I'm thinking that those in front of me are not committed to getting him just yet. Maybe they're a little concerned about their own strength. Maybe they're waiting for someone else to jump after him so they can get on his wheel. But there is somebody jumping after him, and now we're starting to be a little stretched out, and those 2 guys have a little bit of a gap. Now, the A's never caught us. They finished about a minute 20 behind us. They started 2 minutes behind us, so which means that they made 40 seconds up on us. Our group was like 3 or 4 times as large and apparently a lot more motivated. Okay, I think, that at least one person is still out there, and it looks like he's going to be winning. And this is all I can do. I could barely do 300 watts. Well, I got it to 350 momentarily, but that's it. So now I'm starting to wonder how many C's are ahead of me. As it turns out, I ended up 8th in the C's. Now, all the B's except for 1 passed me. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. My future videos are going to include a season recap of my 2022 season. We're talking about my off-season training, and also a video on what you can do to have long-term longevity, functional longevity. All right, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.